This time on The American Veteran, veterans joining ranks to provide disaster relief, learning that by helping others, they are helping themselves as well. VA's Youth Volunteer of the Year, getting an early start on life devoted to service. A groundbreaking concept in the treatment of addiction called the Fathers Group. And Memorial Day 2012, including a special tribute to Americans' Vietnam War veterans. Those stories and more coming up on The American Veteran. Hello, I'm Jonathan Kopenger. Welcome to The American Veteran, a public affairs program produced by the Department of Veterans Affairs. Today, we're at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Triangle, Virginia, where they're celebrating a century of Marine Corps aviation. We begin our show with a story of a remarkable group of Marine Corps veterans who teamed up with doctors to provide disaster relief for the victims of the 2010 earthquake in Haiti. That small group has grown to become Team Rubicon, a veteran service organization that stands ready to deploy emergency response teams all around the world.
We rolled into Port-au-Prince in the back of pickup trucks. As we got closer and closer to the city and then to the city center, the masses of people that were trying to move away from Port-au-Prince to go find something that was less chaotic just increased. And we were going in the opposite direction. We were going into the heart of it. It just incrementally got worse and worse. You know, you started to see on the outskirts of the city some of the destruction. Then you got closer and you saw entire buildings collapsed, and then you started to smell, you could smell the bodies bloating in the sun and the heat. You could smell diesel fuel spilled across the street, burning tires, everything like that. And to be quite honest, it was the same sights and smells that we had heard going through Fallujah or going through Baghdad or Afghanistan. My name is Jake Wood. I'm president and co-founder of Team Rubicon. One morning I woke up and I saw on the news what was going on in Port-au-Prince, and for a couple hours I just sat there and watched the television screen because the images that were coming back were so horrific and mind-blowing. And after a little while of doing that, I decided that it was an opportunity to go down there and help. I put out a Facebook post and asked who wanted to join me to go down to Port-au-Prince, and literally a few minutes later, William McNulty gave me a call and said that he wanted to go, and Team Rubicon was really born right then and there.
We put together a team of military veterans and medical professionals. We basically paired Marines with doctors, and we sent them into the hardest hit areas of Port-au-Prince and did medical triage.
For a veteran like William or I, we have a lot more to offer than $10. And we had skill sets that a lot of the volunteers at the Red Cross, a lot of the volunteers at the International Medical Corps didn't have. And we thought that our greatest asset, our greatest resource that we could provide was, ourselves.
We're this flexible and dynamic, rapidly expanding, veteran-focused organization that pretty much have taken the helm on responding to disasters and using our former service members as our core of volunteers that we can call upon, and that's kind of where we're at now, 2.5 years into the organization.
Team Rubicon is different than other aid organizations because it's focused on the veteran. It's focused on giving that self-worth and that purpose and that community back to the veteran. So we're incorporating a lot of the same things that we learned, tactics, procedures that we learned in the military, but we're applying it to disaster response now.
We've been to Haiti, Burma, Pakistan, Chile. We recently have started responding to domestic disasters. Most notably were the tornadoes in the Midwest and a hurricane on the East Coast. Our deployments have been into pretty bad disasters. The sights, the smells, the devastation, the looks in people's eyes knowing that they've potentially lost everything or they have lost everything. The ability to approach a situation with a bit of tenderness even though you're there for a very specific mission. There's a lot of similarities that make us the best people to send into an area like that.
I can't thank you all enough.
No, you're very welcome.
There is no words to say.
You hear so much bad on television. But through this, we've seen so much good.
I met Clay Hunt for the first time in 2006.
We were in the same platoon in Iraq. Clay's a Purple Heart winner. Was shot in Iraq. So we went to sniper school together. We were partners all through sniper school, and we deployed together to Afghanistan as snipers. Wow. We've been through a lot.
Clay Hunt was a friend who I had not met until the Haiti earthquake. Clay didn't go down with the first team into Port-au-Prince, but he saw us on the news actually. He woke up in the middle of the night, purchased a plane ticket to the Dominican Republic, and found us at the largest hospital, the General Hospital in Port-au-Prince.
I've been in 2 third world countries where every second that I've walked through, I've been having to worry about my own safety before I could worry about doing good and helping others. It was a complete opposite down in Haiti. I didn't have to worry once about my safety. I was there to do a job, to help people, and I have a renewed faith in humanity.
Clay found disaster relief very therapeutic. This is what he told me. Clay said that he wanted to do this type of work for the rest of his life.
I'm here to help. I'll be here till he goes home. But he was my best man at my wedding. Been my best friend for the last few years. Got to be here. I don't think there's a better place I could be right now. So.
One of the things that Clay struggled with mightily was some of the mental and emotional problems that a lot of veterans are coming home from war with. And he had a lot of difficulty dealing with his experiences and dealing with the guilt that he had and that he associated with having survived the war when so many of our friends lost their lives over there. We tried to get him help on a number of occasions. He was going into the VA for counseling, and eventually we had him move back to Houston, Texas to be with his family. Shortly after moving back to Houston, things just kind of hit rock bottom for him, even though they appeared to be all right. And he ended up taking his own life on March 30th of 2011. So after the dust settled from Clay's suicide, we really took some time to reevaluate what it was we were doing at Team Rubicon. When we started out, we saw ourselves as an organization that was looking to transform disaster response by using veterans. And we saw an opportunity to provide the volunteers that were working with us some of the things that we knew Clay was missing. And Clay, he didn't kill himself because of what happened to us over in Iraq and Afghanistan. He killed himself because of what he lost when he came home. And he was missing a mission in his life. He was missing community, and he really didn't feel like he had any self-worth anymore.
When Clay took his own life, it caused us to take a really hard look at the organization, and it caused us to change the focus to the veteran rather than the disaster victim. And that might sound trivial, but it's actually very important. We're recreating that self-worth, that mission, that purpose, that community, to try and help those people who are suffering from the same symptoms that Clay was. Adjust, reintegrate into society.
My name's Kevin Heslin, and I'm a research health scientist with the VA Emergency Management Evaluation Center. My colleagues and I are interested in eventually doing a large-scale, sort of long-term study with Team Rubicon so that we can really try to track the mental health benefits of volunteer work on veterans.
The VA approached us about a study they wanted to do regarding the efficacy of a program such as ours for actual therapeutic, measurable results. Could our program, could our volunteer organization that is repurposing veteran skills in disaster relief actually measurably have an answer?
The VA has a huge focus on reintegration into civilian society, and how can we help veterans to do that better. So the idea that this kind of emergency management volunteer work would contribute to that is very exciting.
We have veterans unsolicited email us all the time with thanks and praise for the opportunity to work with us and what it has meant to them. But at the end of the day, that's not real quantitative evidence. That's not scientific. That's not anything that we can say, here, you see, we're right. This is helping veterans. And so with the VA, we're really hoping that we can conduct a formal study that proves that the idea of continued service is something that is beneficial to the veteran and to their transition and to their reintegration into civil society.
Over the last 10 years, it's been very hard for veterans to identify progress. But when you're either saving the life of a child in Port-au-Prince after the earthquake, or whether you're tarping someone's roof in Joplin after a tornado, progress is immediately identifiable, and that's of extreme value to the veteran.
The difference between going on a mission with Team Rubicon versus the experiences that volunteer might have had in uniform, you're going into a similar environment, but the entire feeling is different. You're not going in there fearing for your life. You're not going in there with a mission that you may be uncomfortable with. You're going there to help people. And I think for the veterans who get involved, that's incredibly therapeutic to know that you're needed and you're wanted, and your only mission in life is to go improve the lives of people whose lives have been devastated. It's really cathartic for the veteran.
There is the hope when you fill out our application that one day you will receive a phone call from me saying, we need you to fly to Africa for this mission. Are you available? And I think that is a very powerful feeling of hope for a lot of people. You know, a lot of people who lost their mission, I think that sense of purpose, that sense of reusing their experience is important and it's powerful, and that's what we do.
If you would like to get more information or sign up, just visit teamrubiconusa.org. According to the Department of Labor, nearly 800,000 veterans are unemployed. About half of them are between the ages of 35 and 60. VA recently launched the Veterans Retraining Assistance Program, or VRAP, to help eligible vets upgrade their skills and to find employment in high-demand occupations.
What VRAP does is it provides the opportunity for veterans in the age group of 35 to 60 to go back to school or training for up to 1 year to achieve some sort of meaningful employment or vocation in a high-demand environment.
To qualify for VRAP, a veteran must meet the following criteria. You must be unemployed and between the ages of 35 and 60. You cannot have any remaining GI Bill benefits. You must have received a military discharge of anything other than dishonorable. And you must not be enrolled in any federal or state training program.
There's a huge demand of veterans for jobs out there. So you have a supply of veterans. You have the demand. There are employers out there that want to hire veterans. And so what's the gap between those two? And that gap is either experience or a skill set. And so we can't manufacture or build experience, but we certainly can help with the skill set. And that's exactly what the VRAP program does.
The goal of VRAP is to provide up to 1 year of additional educational or training benefits for up to 99,000 veterans. All eligible veterans are welcome to apply on a first-come, first-served basis.
Applications are now being accepted for this program, and for more information, please visit the website you see on your screen. And when we come back, we'll introduce you to VA's 2012 Youth Volunteer of the Year. More than 20,000 youth volunteers support VA's mission at sites all across the U.S. Each year, the James H. Park Memorial Fund recognizes their service with a scholarship. Today, we'd like to introduce you to the 2012 Park Award honoree, Elizabeth Lizzie Lineski.
18-year-old Lizzie Lineski of Pinckney, Michigan, is a straight-A student and a member of the National Honor Society.
But when it comes to school, I've always had no one's ever pressured me, but for some reason I've just always wanted to get all the A's and get the good grade on the test.
I've had her about 4 different times in different classes. Very hardworking, very dedicated, goes above and beyond parameters set in class. You never have to worry about her getting anything done.
Okay, we're broken.
Lizzie also shows horses and was chosen by her coach to co-captain her high school equestrian team.
She's a perfectionist, so anything that she does, it may take her a little bit longer, but the end result is 110%.
Bingo.
All right.
Her proudest achievement, however, and the defining experience of Lizzie's young life, is the volunteer service she's performed at the Ann Arbor VA Medical Center.
G55 and 068. I've worked in the director's office, in public affairs. I did social work. I coordinated the student programs. I really have my mom to thank for introducing me, but I have the veterans to thank even more for kind of keeping me coming back.
Lizzie was just 4 when her mom, Voluntary Services Chief Beverly Lineski, began bringing her here. By the time she was 10, Lizzie had become an active volunteer. And since then, she has toted up well over 1,200 hours of volunteer service.
And like so many of us volunteers here, have seen her growing up, and it's been a pleasure. Hello. Hey, good morning. She can light up a room when she walks in with a smile. And I know a veteran, being a veteran myself, that's very important.
Mike Doro is an Air Force veteran who also volunteers at VA. He and Lizzie have helped lift the spirit of many patients and families over the years.
Specifically on the holidays, you know, it's a time where a lot of people struggle.
Coming in on like Thanksgiving and especially Christmas Eve, and just how like appreciative they are, it just kind of blows my mind because they're so happy that you thought of them, but in reality, they don't owe us anything. It's we like who owe them our time. I'm so lucky to be able to have this experience.
It's an experience Lizzie enjoys sharing with others, which she does by recruiting her friends to volunteer as well.
She's active in 4-H, so she's brought her 4-H group in several times, and they actually put on a little horse show over in the Community Living Center for the veterans over there. They brought stick horses in and kind of did a little drill team for them.
Voluntary Services, this is Lizzie. How may I help you? A lot of people don't realize how much stuff there is to do and how much you can help. So if you're a driven person who kind of wants to make a difference in the world and help other people, like the VA is like a good place to come because everyone is just so appreciative, and it just like teaches you like how to like get involved and make a difference.
I think that's just that pride she takes in what she does, and just shows in everything that she does and how she dresses and how she communicates with people. She's just the package.
Thank you, it was really nice meeting you.
I don't have a daughter myself, but if she was my daughter, I'd be thanking God each and every day. The world would be a better place if we had more Lizzies.
If you would like to learn more about volunteer opportunities at VA, please go to volunteer.va.gov. At Baltimore's VA Medical Center, the Fathers Group is helping veterans repair family relationships damaged by addiction. It's founded on the belief that by becoming better fathers, recovering addicts can reinforce positive behaviors.
Marine Corps veteran Trevor Lane has a whole new outlook on life that was nearly lost to substance abuse.
My rock bottom was I just couldn't go on anymore in life. Through addiction and then all the lies and the mess that creates, and the shame just built on them, and then more and more and more.
Trevor turned his life around thanks to a unique program developed by VA psychologist Mark Arenas.
Trevor's not unlike a lot of guys. There's a tremendous amount of shame and embarrassment, humiliation.
Arenas helps other veterans like Trevor whose addictions have ruined their family relationships. He encourages them to break their cycle of negative behavior through a unique form of group therapy he calls the Fathers Group.
Does anybody in the group have something that happened to them or with their kids, or something they're thinking about fatherhood that they want to lead off with?
With the exception of Dr. Arenas, all of these men are fathers or grandfathers who have struggled to overcome substance abuse.
When I first got here, one of my biggest struggles is whether or not I should tell my daughter about me using drugs. The Fathers Group is a place that you can come and actually tell the truth about your struggles. And this is the place where we can actually get some honest, genuine help from some other fathers who have had similar experiences.
You should be commended for telling her that and letting her know that, which also open up her eyes and her feelings for you to bond with you.
Dr. Arenas kind of lets us take the group over, the older guys, and he's just to make sure to keep order.
There are a lot of commonalities between recovery and fatherhood, we've discovered. One of the keystones of recovery is a kind of a consistency and a reliability. What's been the biggest challenge for you upon returning?
In the group, he establishes the tempo and the order, and then he allows the guys that have been there for a while to really reach out and tell their stories.
It's not like the same world. It's just like two different worlds when I got back.
The Fathers Group honors the ideal of fatherhood, but also recognizes the difficult daily realities of being a dad.
Yeah, we tell them you don't have to be perfect, but you got to be there. We're all going to make mistakes, everybody. The trick is, where did I go wrong? And then how can I make that better and learn from it and help my child learn from it?
Joseph Jones, a recovered addict himself, has become a national expert on fatherhood, even serving on an advisory panel on the subject for the Obama administration.
One of the things that is really exciting about coming here to the Fathers Program is to see Dr. Mark Arenas working with guys who have served their country well, who have their own set of demons, but they're willing to come forward and work through a process to become not only healthy individuals, but good dads, and to begin to think about what the prospects can be for their families when they make that transition to a better life.
Dr. Arenas challenges the group to examine their family histories and the behavior patterns their own fathers may have left with them, for better or worse. Becoming a better father also means understanding the multiple roles fathers play, beyond simply provider or authority figure.
My relationship with my son has gotten better, and it's getting stronger.
It is like starting all over again, because it's like when I started using drugs, I stopped growing. And now I have a chance to start growing again, and it's exciting to me, and I'm excited about my life and the direction that I'm going in. It is worth whatever you think you're going to go through, whether it's shame and guilt. It is worth all of that just to get one smile out of my kid.
One of the principles of the VA's mission is that we're person-centric. And I think when you start to talk about fatherhood, that's one aspect of their personhood. And so I think it helps them, and it helps us see them as whole people.
I want to be a part of their life and know what's going on when I'm with them. You know, it's different than when I was using, being around them. You know, I really wasn't there for them.
By recognizing the importance of family in the recovery process, the Fathers Group not only offers these patients a more holistic approach to recovery, but also an opportunity to reconcile with those who matter most to them.
I want to resolve these issues that I have so that I can become a better father, because I know that I'm not going to be here that long, and when I'm gone, I want them to remember me in a positive light.
In researching this story, we came across an interesting historical note. The tradition of celebrating Father's Day is believed to trace back to 1910, when a woman in Spokane, Washington, convinced state lawmakers to set aside a special day to honor fathers. She was inspired to do so by her own dad, a veteran of the Civil War. When we come back, we'll honor Vietnam veterans 50 years after the war began. Memorial Day is observed on the last Monday in May. Ceremonies honoring the loved and lost were held across the U.S. and on military bases around the world. Many of this year's Memorial Day observations included special tributes to the veterans of the Vietnam War. It has now been 50 years since that war began. In Washington, 10 new names were added to the Vietnam Veterans Memorial this year, bringing the total to 58,282.
You are often blamed for a war you didn't start, when you should have been commended for serving your country with valor. You're sometimes blamed for misdeeds of a few. When the honorable service of the many should have been praised, you came home and sometimes were denigrated when you should have been celebrated. It was a national shame, a disgrace. It should have never happened. That's why here today we resolve that it will not happen again. And so a central part of this 50th anniversary will be to tell your story as it should have been told all along. Let us tell the story of a generation of service members, every color, every creed, rich, poor, officer, and enlisted, who served with just as much patriotism and honor as any before you. This is the story of our Vietnam service members, a story that needs to be told. This is what this 50th anniversary is all about. It's another opportunity to say to our Vietnam veterans what we should have been saying from the beginning. You did your job. You served with honor. You made us proud.
And that concludes this edition of The American Veteran. The Department of Veterans Affairs is honored to bring you this program. To our men and women in uniform and to America's veterans, thank you for your service. I'll see you next time.